This right here is a Mac Mini, and technically for $599 you can have this thing do a lot. $799 because now the 256GB model is non-existent. Anyways, I'm talking about talking with other computers, interacting with them, connecting to your emails, sending you reminders through Telegram, sending you daily briefs regarding the news and the stock market. Like, you genuinely don't need to be super techie to get this thing running. And I think this might be one of the best ways to use one in 2026. Sorry. Remember I made like a video talking about CloudBot a few months ago? Although complex to set up and scary because of data privacy, it doesn't change the fact that if set up right, it's one of the coolest undefined AI tools I had tested at the time. Now I'm taking this to a whole new level using Genspark Claw for this setup, and while tools like this can make your everyday life easier and speed up a lot of your workflow, the important disclaimer here is that at the end of the day, privacy and data are still things you should always be careful with. But here, check this out. Meet Jarvis, my Mac Mini that doesn't know much about my life. In other words, there are like no accounts connected to this thing. I do have my Gmail connected through Chrome, but that's about it. I don't even have an Apple ID plugged in here. And honestly, that helps me minimize a lot of my data exposure because Genspark Claw, well, it's got access to your entire file system. If and only if you decide to install their desktop app on your machine, which is always the most skeptical move. Genspark Claw, it literally says your first AI employee. I'm trying to understand a lot of this AI ecosystem nowadays because, well, that's what a lot of companies seem to be promoting. So here's the dashboard, okay? This is literally the first time I opened this dashboard. Local computer connected. I guess they're referring to my Mac Mini. So there's a left panel. It says Claw, then buddy. Your shelf is empty. Summon your first buddy to begin summoning. Okay. Who is your buddy? Describe their look, personality, anything. My buddy is a tiny fluffy. What is this? Okay, so I guess this is like sort of a helper. Interesting. Then there's meeting notes. We're all familiar with meeting notes. So that's cool. Let's go back to Claw. So for what I understand, okay, Genspark Claw has access to my local computer, which is fine. Now I've set up my local computer in a way that there's not too much information or personal data within. Now, local computer, Mac OS, reach me anywhere. You can add skills. There's all these skills on the right that you can sort of play with. Notion page operations, GSK Microsoft Teams operations. That's pretty cool. Phone call, Salesforce, shared, SharePoint, Slack, Twitter, Reddit, Instagram. There seems to also be some tutorials. Make it personal, daily briefing, email and calendar, docs, slides, sheets, autopilot workflows. There's quite a bit here. Let's go back to home. So it seems that Claude Sonnet is my model. That's what we are currently running. That's a model that will be helping us out. There's a bunch of other models here. And now obviously these models are not running locally. Are you running locally? The model I'm using is hosted remotely, but the agent process itself is running on your machine. Your workspace, files, and tools like shell access and computer use all operate locally. Okay, I just want to try something quickly here. Let's open the terminal. Let's create a random file quickly right here. Let's just touch file.txt. Hey Claude, can you check out my documents folder? Let's take a look. Okay, allow. So it sees file.txt. Want me to peek inside file.txt or dig into anything else? Peek inside. Let's see. I ran out of credits. Yeah, here's the thing. At $7.99, regardless of which platform you use, you are going to have to get a membership to keep your agent. Pricing with Genspark Claw varies a bit, starting at $19.99 a month when you get the yearly membership, and it goes all the way to $249.99 a month. The base plan gives you access to 10,000 credits a month, and the highest tier plan 125,000 credits a month, which is a lot. The only difference between the business tier and the other two is the storage size and the models you can use for image creation if you ever need that. Now, personally, I think most people will be fine with the low tier plan, but I got the mid tier one. Now with my 20,000 credits, I was able to continue my test. So really all I wanted to do was to take a look at my permissions, which in short meant that I could read files, delete files, create files, modify them. Yeah, there is a lot I could do. And with the proper skills you can add to your system, your Mac Mini can do a lot for you. From anywhere. Like, you can connect it to Telegram and use your phone to interact with your device. It's actually really cool because Genspark has this feature called connectors where you can allow yourself to connect, for example, your Google Calendar, whether you want to read or write access, you can enable that. And if you have any upcoming events, right, coming up next week, you can just literally tell Genspark, here are the events, here are the times, here are the days, please put them in the calendar, and it'll literally do it for you. In fact, it can take over your Mac Mini for you and do that, which is really cool. Now, I will talk about privacy and security later in this video because I think it's very important to address that. But I find that Mac Mini with the right tools can be very powerful. Although, I had an idea that would go a bit far beyond what you'd probably use this for, but I wanted to show you that I can control another PC with this. That's right, I can control my ThinkPad server, which is running Ubuntu, with my Mac Mini. Now, if you're not familiar, a lot of people like setting these up to have their own local Netflix running at home. You didn't hear this stuff from me, okay? But essentially, you can connect your Mac Mini to the computer hosting this, right? Pretty cool. Which means that this now acts as your assistant if you ever need to access your server. And Genspark Claw even recommends the best accessibility methods for this workflow. This is where things start to genuinely get very interesting. So for me to log in from the Mac Mini to my ThinkPad, I need SSH authentication. It's the best way of doing it, the most secure at least. Now currently I don't have any of this set up. However, Genspark can actually check if I have a key on this Mac, and it actually did. Well, there's no key on my Mac. Now it is giving me a step-by-step tutorial on how to generate an SSH key for this computer, but I'm wondering if it can do it for me. Let's ask it. Let's start with generating the key generated. This is cool. Now I need to copy it to your ThinkPad. For this step, you'll need to enter your ThinkPad password once in the terminal. Can't do that part headlessly. Run this command in your Mac's terminal app. What I'm trying to show you guys here is that, well, the platform is smart enough to run you through commands that will allow you to locally perform a task. In my case, I was setting up a secure way for me to access my ThinkPad from the Mac Mini. Now, I don't recommend you giving passwords to it or very sensitive data because at the end of the day, as I will show you later, a lot of this stuff does get parsed by the model. So in our case, Anthropic's servers. Even if it reassures you, don't trust it. However, on my end, because I'm running a test dummy, well, I didn't really care. In fact, I wanted to see if I could absolutely wipe my entire ThinkPad laptop and start from scratch. And what I like about Anthropic as the model for Genspark Claw is that it's smart enough to ask the right questions. Like, it understands that there could be different meanings to wiping everything. On my end, it offered different ways of resetting the laptop, and because I did not want to lose my SSH setup we just did, it knew how to reset it like so. Honestly, kinda crazy how my Mac Mini can wipe my other laptop, right? Like, it fully wiped my ThinkPad. In fact, it even restarted the computer by itself. But this is what I wanted because I wanted to test if I could pull all my server setup files and basically reinstall everything from scratch. So I've been messing with my server a lot, and I think this video is already out or is probably about to come out. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this is my home server that I'm still working on, and I created a GitHub repo with a bootstrap file in order to kick off servers whenever I build one. Now, I've used all sorts of different AI platforms, AI models in order to get that started, and it's worked quite well. I've been enjoying myself just playing with stuff. What I want to do though is take the same bootstrap file I used for this and use it for the ThinkPad. That is the main reason as to why I wanted to wipe this thing and start from scratch. Now, I think that with the help of Genspark and the Mac Mini, we can create a time machine in order for us to go back to this starting point if we do mess something up. Right? Like I can quickly say, can you set a time machine for this point in time? So it's suggesting to install time shift and take a snapshot of this clean state right now. So yes, let's do that. And you can see right now it's actually doing it for us. So this is really cool. Now from the ThinkPad, let's see if this actually works. Sudo time shift list. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what Genspark created for us, or the Mac Mini, I guess. Now this bootstrap file, it lives on a website called GitHub. And for me to be able to download this file using the Mac Mini through the ThinkPad, I needed another SSH key to connect that website to the ThinkPad. All these steps were steps that Genspark was suggesting. These steps is what allowed me to use the Mac Mini to 1, understand what type of file I was looking at, and 2, ask me permission to run this file. I was successfully able to install all the tools that technically allow me to use my ThinkPad as a server for a lot of stuff. And yes, this includes my own private Netflix library if I wanted to. But here is where things become crazier because your Mac Mini can talk with your phone. But for that to happen, okay, for you to be able to control your Mac Mini directly from your phone, you need to use an app like Telegram. Telegram bots more specifically, and these need to be set up right. In fact, Genspark will run you through the setup step by step if you ask it to, and this setup is what will allow you to use your own Telegram bot to talk to your Mac Mini. Now, every chat does need to be reminded of things you've probably already done in another chat, like for example, my SSH keys. I needed to remind it of that, mainly because I wanted to reconnect my ThinkPad machine using Telegram, which worked well. It's kind of crazy, right? Like with Telegram, I can now interact with my ThinkPad through my Mac Mini. Does that make sense? Like right now, Telegram is giving me a list of my services and everything that's sort of running within my ThinkPad. It's really cool. Now, realistically, I can just use my phone to interact with my bot and control my ThinkPad with my phone, thanks to the Mac Mini and Genspark. Now, I could have done this with WhatsApp, Line, Slack, Discord, but this is one really cool use case that you can use Genspark with. However, there is a whole other world, and you get to discover that through the tutorials, which is what I'm going to focus on right now to see if I can truly unlock the power of Genspark. A lot of these tutorials will allow you to discover how you can set it all up as an assistant. I did open a different session for me to dive into these tutorials one by one to see what I can do. Personally, I wouldn't think of this as an AI employee, more like an AI assistant, because for me it would be super useful to build a system of reminders. Like for example, I use a custom weekly calendar Notion template for me to remind myself what I have going on during the week, and it could be like the simplest of things. For example, reminding one of my friends to write me a check for the current sale of a car. It's actually kind of nice you can indeed do this with Genspark. But really, where this shines is not just, registering reminders and that's it. Where this truly shines is through Telegram. Telegram can send you reminders. And if set up properly, you can add the TechCrunch, Hacker News, and many others as your daily briefings. I've been personally trading stocks lately, and so I would love to also have a daily brief about these. So like that, when I open up my Telegram every morning, I have an entire daily brief of what is going on in the world. Email and calendar is also a huge feature you can use. You can read all your unread emails and summarize what needs your attention. Now, the system is smart enough to know what is connected and what's not, and will guide you through it. It's cool because Genspark does offer a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of different connections. You can use these to your advantage to the point that you can even use your Notion systems with the Genspark law. But yeah, this system allows you to really do all sorts of different things with your emails. You can integrate your calendar, you can build slides, build a budget tracker from your own expense data. Every time you get an email from a specific person, you can draft a reply. There are tons and tons of things you can do. Just imagine all the little things throughout your day that normally take a bit of time to do. You can automate a lot of them. That's the point of setting up a system like this one. But the big question here is, how safe is all of this info with your Mac Mini? Whenever an AI tool starts connecting your emails, your files, your browser, apps, calendar, messages, an alarm should literally go off in your brain. Listen, like I'm pretty big on security, local setups, Linux, self-hosting, and all that stuff. So even though Genspark are fully sponsoring this video, I still wanted some sort of understanding with how things work before fully using. Now, from what I researched, the interesting thing about Genspark Claw is that it doesn't work like a shared AI session. Apparently, each user gets their own isolated cloud environment, so separate browser sessions, separate storage, separate virtual machines, separate IPs, which is important because the AI isn't just running in one giant shared workspace between everyone. And honestly, that's something I wanted to verify myself before talking about it here. Now, obviously, like any cloud AI platform, you still want to use common sense. I personally still wouldn't throw extremely sensitive information into any online AI tool without thinking twice first. And I think that's just the reality of modern AI right now. But what I do like is that Genspark seems to actually understand that people care about privacy and separation. And for me personally, I kind of use both worlds right now. For example, I still run local AI models on my RTX setup and home server for certain tasks where I want more control. But for automation, browser workflows, app integrations, research, and cloud tasks, tools like Genspark become really interesting because they save an insane amount of time. But realistically, anytime information passes through the cloud for processing, it's still important to stay mindful about what data you share and keep sensitive information as limited as possible.